Hello and welcome to Faith Matters, a series of programmes where we look at real-life issues through the prism of faith and belief. My name is Keith Hitchman and I lead the River in the City initiative for the Anglican Diocese of Liverpool, based here in Liverpool city centre. Our guests today are David and Shirley Coleman from Liverpool's Jewish community. Welcome. David, tell us a little bit about your role in Liverpool's Jewish community. You're not a rabbi, are you?
No, I'm not a rabbi. I'm not actually a minister in a synagogue in the synagogal sense. So I don't have a congregation to look after. But, and I used to be a businessman. During that time, I used to take on lay leadership roles. I have been the president of our social welfare organisation called Merseyside Jewish Community Care, and I have been the lay leader of the community as the president of the Merseyside Jewish Representative Council. So that's like the Jewish mayor, if you like,
Okay.
that would represent the community in all civic matters. And I've always done a lot of voluntary work within the community, both for Merseyside Jewish Community Care and other organisations, youth, and for the aged.
And you're currently also Jewish chaplain for Merseyside Police.
I'm currently the Jewish chaplain for Merseyside Police, yes.
And you have a role at Allerton Synagogue?
I have a role at the Allerton Synagogue. I'm the administrator, as my main role. And it's sort of grown and morphed into something a lot more than that in terms of pastoral care and being able to counsel people.
Well, it sounds like you're almost a rabbi.
Some people would say, there was a joke that because I do officiate, I do lead services at the Childwell Synagogue and sometimes at the Allerton Synagogue when I'm there for prayers. And the rabbi of Childwell Synagogue used to call me the chief rabbi because I would be the one that people would come to.
So Shirley, he sounds very busy.
Very busy.
How do you keep him under control?
Not too easily, actually, but yeah, he knows not to go over the line.
Okay, that's good. We've heard a lot recently about the whole rise of anti-Semitism in Europe as a whole. And there's been these alleged remarks passed by Mario Balotelli from Liverpool Football Club, by the Wigan chairman, Dave Whelan. How does this affect Liverpool's Jewish community? Are you affected by this? It's close to home?
We are affected by it. We are always affected by it. We're always very sensitive to the sort of comments that are made, such as David Whelan's comments about Jews chasing money, and Balotelli's comments. They hurt. They do hurt. And maybe they're made in innocence. But unfortunately, at the moment, since the latest battles between Israel and Gaza in the summer, unfortunately, anti-Semitism in physical terms has increased in this country, but more so within Europe, where they say that it's getting to be like the 1930s.
Really, really. And in Liverpool, any personal experiences?
Liverpool is a melting pot, and it always has been, where all the communities do tend to get on together. And therefore, we haven't had as many problems. However, there are daubings, there is abuse shouted at people as they're walking home from the synagogue on a Saturday morning. I've had it myself. And where we can, we report it to the police, and the police take action. If we can get a registration number of the vehicle that was going past, then they will find the owners and take all the appropriate action. So yeah, it has risen, but we don't lock ourselves away. We don't hide ourselves away and wrap ourselves in cotton wool. We're still there. We are still a community. We still have a lot to offer, and we still have a lot to do it cooperatively with other communities within Liverpool.
And I know you're very involved with interfaith activity, and you have good relations with the Muslim community.
We have excellent relations with the Muslim community.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
We have, for instance, first of all, within the King David School, which is a school, we have kindergarten, primary and high school and sixth form on the King David campus. And there are many of the pupils there are from Muslim families. In fact, there are Muslims who fight to get their children into the King David School. And we have, we go, groups of Jewish people will go to the mosque to learn a bit about the mosque, how it works, and they will come to the synagogue as well in groups. Plus those that come with schools throughout Liverpool to visit the synagogues.
That's great. I mean, it's a real sign of hope, really. And like you said, Liverpool's, I mean, it's known as the world in one city. It is a racially tolerant and religiously tolerant place, I believe. When
the Merseyside Jewish Community Care were approached by some members of the Muslim community to ask how they could set up a similar organisation within their community. They were asking for our advice on how that could be done. So that's a sign of the closeness that we have between the two communities.
And you've mentioned two of them. There are three synagogues. Am I right in saying?
There are three Orthodox synagogues.
Right.
That's the one on Prince's Road, the one on Dunbabin Road, and the one on Mather Avenue. So the Prince's Road synagogue we call the Liverpool Old Hebrew Congregation, which is the oldest one that's still in existence. The one on Dunbabin Road is the Childwell Synagogue, and then the one on Mather Avenue, the Allerton Synagogue, which has just been rebuilt, downsized, with some flats which belong to a housing association. There is also a Reform Synagogue in Wavertree.
And what's the difference for our viewers?
Reform Synagogue, Orthodox Synagogue will go according to the law as it's written in the Bible, in the Torah.
Yeah.
All the laws that God gave us, all the laws that were given to Moses on Mount Sinai. The Reform Synagogue is further to the left. So they won't necessarily follow as strictly all the rules.
Right, okay.
Okay, so they will drive on the Sabbath, which Orthodox people will not do, as a for instance, as an example. And it tends to be the synagogue that people who have married out of the faith might belong to because they may feel more comfortable there or more accepted there.
And okay, the synagogue on Princess Avenue, like you said, that's a very historic building. Yeah. And do you go there often, Shirley? Do you?
No, it's a bit too far to walk.
Is it?
So we have been lovely for a wedding. It's beautiful. To go to a ceremony in that synagogue is just something very special. Have you been?
Yeah, I've had the little tour they do. You know.
Oh yes, but to go in and have a wedding ceremony with a beautiful choir and everything, it's gorgeous, absolutely magical.
And how old is it?
It's 100 and I think it must be getting on for 170, 180 years now. I can't tell you exactly, but about 175, 180 years.
And is that you can date back the Liverpool's Jewish community?
Oh, beyond that.
Beyond that?
Beyond that.
How far back?
Our Liverpool Jewish community goes back to the third quarter of the 18th century. So about 1770, 1775. And in fact, you know, we say when Liverpool was going to become capital of culture in the years leading up to it, we found out there was a document produced called Liverpool City of First. It was a booklet that was produced. And in fact, one of the first purpose-built synagogues in the country was on the corner of Colquitt Street and Seal Street, where the BT building it now is.
Right, okay.
And before that, they had converted house. And in fact, if anybody goes to the Met Quarter, comes in from the Victoria Street entrance, when they come in, look back at the wall and they'll see a plaque because that was Synagogue Court and that was the site of the first synagogue and Jewish cemetery.
And did the Jews come to Liverpool fleeing European persecution or for commercial reasons or both?
Well, there was a community here, as I say, in 1770, that would have been commercial. And then in the 1800s, in the late 1800s particularly, they would have been fleeing from the pogroms in Eastern Europe. So they would have come over to this country. Some of the people would have been looking for travel onwards to America, and some people stayed in the UK. they may have run out of money or they may have found a job. And so they stayed. And then, of course, in the 1930s, before the Second World War, there was the people fleeing from Germany and Austria.
And your family as well, when did they?
My family actually came here. My paternal grandfather came here in 1912, and he went to Chester, where there was a much bigger Jewish community.
I'm going to have to wind us down now because we're coming up to the commercial break. But when we come back, we'll talk about Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Fine.
Welcome back to Faith Matters. My guests today are David and Shirley Coleman from Liverpool's Jewish community. It's great to have you with us. We're going to talk about Hanukkah or Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.
Right. And it's spelt with a C, isn't it?
CH.
CH.
Is a H.
Yeah, I noticed you corrected me in my email that I sent to you earlier. It's December. You celebrate Hanukkah in December. It's the Jewish Festival of Light. Is that correct? Tell us what it's about. What does it mean, and what actually is it that you're celebrating this time of year?
What we're celebrating, it's usually somewhere in December.
It could be the end of November as well.
Could be. It's the Jewish month of Kislev.
Yeah.
Okay. So because we have a lunar calendar, it moves around a bit. What we're celebrating is a miracle that took place about 2,500 years ago in the Second Temple. The temple, at that time, what is now Israel, was under Syrian rule. And the king was a Hellenist, if you like. So the Greeks played a big part. They didn't want Jewish people to be able to practice their faith or learn the Torah. They made it illegal. So eventually they tried to take over the temple. Antiochus was the king, and they took over the temple. And as I say in young people speak, they trashed it. They absolutely trashed it. They brought pigs in. They did everything that wouldn't be allowed by the Jewish faith. A small group of people, led by somebody called Matisyahu, the group was called the Hasmoneans, decided that they were fighting to try and get it back. They fought what was basically a much bigger group of people than they were, and eventually they won, and they managed to reclaim the temple for the Jewish people. In the temple, there is a law, that it says in the Bible that there has to be a lamp lit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 24/7, an oil lamp. And it's an oil lamp with only the finest olive oil. Hasmoneans, when they got the temple back, they had a bit of a problem because they found just enough oil in a sealed container for 1 day. And it was going to take another 8 days to be able to press enough olive oil to be able to keep the lamp lit. What should they do? Should they wait till they've got enough oil to keep it lit, or should they light it? It's a bit like raising the flag, we've got it back. Yeah. They decided to light it. And the miracle was, the second miracle, first miracle was that the Hasmoneans beat the Greeks, the Greek army. The second miracle was that the oil lasted for 8 days until there was more oil pressed, and so the lamps did stay lit from the time they lit it. And we celebrate that miracle during the 8 days of Hanukkah. We call it the Festival of Light because it's to do with light. And what we do, the way we practice it, is that we have a candelabra, which is called a Chanukiah or a menorah. It's not actually a menorah, but I won't go into the whys and the wherefores. It's a Chanukiah because it's for Hanukkah. And it has 8 candle holders in it, with one that's either out to the front or higher up above the other 8. And on the first night of Hanukkah, we will light 1 candle. On the second night, we will light 2 candles. And the third night, we will light 3 candles until on the last night, we've got all 8 candles.
Well, I wonder whether that's where we got our Advent candles from.
Could
be.
I meant to bring the candles.
Because we have pinched a lot from you.
Yes,
really,
that's right.
But you use that one to light them
This
with.
one is called the shamus, and it's always got to be higher or set forward because this is like the guardian. And we light this one first every night, and from this one we light the other candles.
Right to left.
And if anybody goes down to St George's Hall during Hanukkah, which starts a week on Tuesday night, the first night, they will see an enormous 20-foot high Hanukkah, which will be lit every night. And I think the second night, which will be Wednesday night, not sure it's the first night or the second night, to be honest, but one of those nights the Lord Mayor will be coming to celebrate.
I should try and get down there. Last year there was a rabbi driving around with
Yes.
Yeah, with one on his...
on the car, that's
yes,
right.
just only in Liverpool, I thought.
No, Manchester.
Manchester
yes,
as well.
London, all over the place.
Manchester have a parade.
The reason for that is we're supposed to put it actually in our window so people can see it, because we're supposed to advertise it. We're supposed to let people see that it's Hanukkah and that we are lighting the lights because this miracle took place. You know, we're told we're supposed to be a light unto the nations, and this is one way that we can do it. The light of the Hanukkah, the light of Hanukkah, is a light to the nations to show we can win.
Well, Shirley, let me come to you now. And he doesn't do a lot of talking, doesn't he, David?
A lot.
And,
A lot. They talk about women.
Now,
You did say this was a 3-hour program, didn't you?
Jews are famed for their hospitality. I know when I
Yeah.
lived in North London, I received a lot of hospitality myself, and of course at your house when I've been round.
Yeah.
And but on festivals like this, you know, what kind of foods do you prepare? How do you prepare?
Well, for Hanukkah, a lot of oil-based because of because of Hanukkah. So we have. We call them latkes, potato latkes. They are round and they're fried.
I've had those in Golders Green. Actually.
Yes, I'm sure you have. I make my own. And also donuts, jam donuts, very popular. They're round, they're fried, and they're rather delicious. Traditionally jam, but these days you can get them with all sorts of things in them. If you go to Manchester, the bakers there make with creme patissiere and icing and all different sorts of things. So those are two of the main things that we have at Hanukkah. I'm just trying to think, is there something else?
Chocolate money.
Oh, chocolate, yes. It's tradition that the children, or even to the adults, that money is given as a present. It's called Hanukkah geld. Although a lot of people these days buy presents for the children as well, the little ones.
Because it's at the same time as Christmas time?
No. Hanukkah's just associated with Hanukkah geld.
I think
The
part
money's
of it
round.
might be that they don't feel
Maybe it
totally
is.
isolated.
But when I
friends,
was a child, and I think when you were growing up, we didn't get presents. We used to get the money. It was tradition. It's tradition to give the money.
So it's chocolate money?
No, proper money.
Proper money, but also the kids get chocolate money as a gift.
Because we hang, I mean, I don't know, but in my family we do. We hang
Yes,
chocolate money from a Christmas tree.
Yes. The same sort of things. I mean,
Yeah.
I've bought in the shops, ready for my grandchildren, chocolate money in little net bags. And they will get those. And also, and I should have brought with, and I'm sorry I've forgotten, what we call like a spinning top. It's called a dreidel.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got the Hebrew letters on the sides all the way around. And I've bought this year dreidels with sweets inside. But you can get all sorts. David,
All kids like sweets.
There's usually quite often. Originally, it used to be a wooden one.
So you've got some pictures there.
Yes, there you are.
If you hold them up to the camera, maybe.
Which camera are we on?
Yes, they're quite a long way away, maybe. But,
Yeah, they're the dreidels on the top.
There's dreidels.
There's the donuts.
Jemmy donuts. That's a different Hanukkah there.
Yeah.
And the dreidels.
And the latkes.
And there's the latkes.
Oh, it's always good. So,
Everybody goes mad for the latkes.
you should have bought some real ones in for me to eat.
I could. Well, if you'd like, I am making them.
Next time.
I am making them.
The thing about the dreidel...
And,
I'm sorry, I was just going to explain what the dreidel is and what the significance of the dreidel is. When the students were studying illegally at this time, when the Hellenists wanted to ban it or did ban it, if they were raided, say by the Hellenist police, they would pretend to be gambling with the spinning top with the dreidel, and that's why it's for Hanukkah.
Yeah, and you don't decorate your homes.
No, we don't. Although, having said that, you can get Happy Hanukkah and things. I know that there is a rabbi here that does hang it from his front door, and if you go to the shops in Manchester, they do have little bits of decoration.
That's not that rabbi who was on Angels of Mersey with.
No, but actually it's the same Hasidic group. Yeah.
Okay, we've got 1 minute left. I just want to ask you about Israel. I know you've got deep connections to Israel,
yes.
family over in Israel. And have you ever celebrated Hanukkah in Israel?
Oh, yes.
Very much so.
The last 2 years.
And does it do? It's a much bigger thing, I expect, is it?
Well, the thing about doing it in Israel is that on every building there will be an enormous Hanukkah with lights on, and each night the lights will be lit up to the 8th night, even on top of water towers and everywhere. And if you're in a hotel, they have a big lighting with lots of donuts, and you put on a lot of weight.
Well, I know I'm looking forward to coming to Israel with you, and I promise to come with you.
You have to come this time of the year.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that maybe this is the time of year to come.
Yeah. It is nice to be there at this time of the year. The last 2 years we've been there.
Yeah.
Well, it's been fantastic to have you with us today, David and Shirley. I know you've got a bit of a cold, David, so great to come out. You need to get home and rest, and we'll see you next week for Faith Matters. Thank you.
Good night.